Okay, we're back.
Next time. Oh, wow. Have you ever been?
We spoke last week about Rosh Hashanah, and some people came over to me afterwards and said that it was a very enlightening discussion to hear about Rosh Hashanah in a slightly different light than we've heard about before. I lost my voice, but 3 days of holidays means 3 days of speeches and classes, and not good for my voice. So, forgive me for the sound. It's Naseret Yemei Teshuvah, 10 days of Teshuvah. We have Yom Kippurim this Shabbat, and I thought maybe we would talk a little about Yom Kippur. It's the right time of year to talk about it.
Yes.
God willing, we'll be talking next week about Sukkot. So
Yes.
we ought to get ourselves into the spirit of Yom Kippurim. Just a recap. What did we say last week about Rosh Hashanah? Anybody remember?
We're talking about truth.
That we talk about all the time.
That's every time.
Every time.
Can you pass me your phone?
I know.
We defined Rosh Hashanah as a
Holiday for the world. Not
holiday.
for the Jews.
Very nice. As a holiday for the world, not just for the Jews. Rosh Hashanah is not a Jewish holiday. It's not the Jewish New Year. It's not the Jewish New Year. Anybody know when that is?
Pesach.
The month of Pesach, Nisan. The Rosh Chodesh of Nisan, that's the Jewish New Year. This is not the Jewish New Year. I guess when they were making the Hallmark cards, they didn't realize that it was like the Rosh Hashanah, the New Year. It doesn't say the Jewish Rosh Hashanah. It says Rosh Hashanah. This is the New Year of the whole world. This is when Adam was created. Adam Rishon was created. The world was actually created
5 days
earlier, on the 25th of Elul. So the first of Tishrei, which was Rosh Hashanah, that's when mankind was created. The Jewish people only became a people when we left Mitzrayim, the month of Pesach, and then really a people on Shavuot when we accepted the Torah. That was what gave us our common heritage. Rosh Hashanah is a time where we take care of the whole world. Yom Kippurim is different. Yom Kippurim is only a Jewish holiday. A non-Jew that wants to observe Yom Kippurim, it's not for him. Rosh Hashanah is for non-Jews also. Yom Kippurim, just for us. Yom Kippurim was the anniversary of, we mentioned last week. Very nice. The sin of the golden calf. The Chet HaEgel. The Chet HaEgel was perhaps the worst thing the Jewish people ever did. The worst thing the Jewish people ever did. It may seem so distant and far away from us. But the Chet HaEgel, according to the Kabbalists, is somehow the underlying reason for a lot of the damage that still exists in the world today. What was the Chet HaEgel? What happened? What's the story?
They decided to not believe in God and to make their own God.
So what happened? What happened first?
When Moshe was coming back.
So what happened? Moshe went up onto the mountain
He didn't come back.
to receive the Torah. He didn't come back. He didn't come back on the time that they thought he was going to come back by. So what do the Jewish people do?
They got scared.
They panicked. They got scared.
Where's Moshe?
They don't know where Moshe is. Their first assumption is
He's not coming back.
maybe he's not coming back.
They ran away from them.
Maybe there really is a God that ran away from them with Moshe. They need a new one. They just got into this God thing. They need a new one.
New God.
So they come to Aaron HaKohen, make for us a God. The story happens, whatever happens. They make for themselves a golden calf. How do they even know how to make a golden calf?
They didn't. Didn't it just happen?
According to some opinions, the Jews in Egypt were not exactly monotheists. The Jews in Egypt were pretty entrenched in Egyptian society. And in Egypt, that's what everyone did. Cows, donkeys, whatever they believed in. They decided to put together a cow. There's a midrashic idea. They threw in some kind of amulet and out came a... The reason for that midrash is for a different idea completely. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down from Har Sinai at his estimated arrival time and is holding the Luchot, which is essentially
The commandments.
the 10 Commandments. But what's so special about these 10 Commandments?
I thought there were 15. Hashem made them.
15 Commandments?
And one broke. Ooh. No?
It sounds like a good story. So we got a discount. We got it 33% off.
It was like a comedy thing.
We had two Ten Commandments. The first were broken in this story. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down, sees the Jewish people worshiping the golden calf, throws the Ten Commandments on the ground, they break to pieces, the letters fly back up to heaven, and says the Jewish people don't need a Torah.
It was a contract and he wanted to break it.
Moshe Rabbeinu didn't do this out of anger like most New Testament authorities would like us to believe. See, a lot of the Judaism we learn is very Christian at its core. Because we watch, Bible movies or Bible books or read all kinds of articles. The Christians don't have such a handle on the Tanakh. I hope you know that. The Torah and their interpretation of it is very superficial at best. What happened to Moshe Rabbeinu? Why did he throw this down? He got angry. Rashi tells us
He was disappointed.
Moshe Rabbeinu was actually, you said it, he was worried about us. He was worried about us. What are the Ten Commandments? It's true, those are the Ten Commandments. What are they on a theological level?
Contract between God and the Jewish people.
What kind of contract?
Marriage.
A marriage contract. According to our commentaries, the Ten Commandments are essentially a ketubah. A ketubah, a marriage contract. The same that we sign a ketubah between ourselves and our wives or our husbands. We also signed a marriage contract between Hashem and ourselves. Us being the bride, Him being the groom. There are actually Kabbalists who have rewritten that text of the ketubah that, so to speak, they signed on. We, the Sfaradim, as well as the Hasidim, have a tradition to read that on Shavuot, the ketubah between Hashem and the Jewish people. Interesting to know who are the witnesses in this ketubah. You need two witnesses, right? So in there, the ketubah says Shamayim va'aretz, both heaven and earth. They're the witnesses in the ketubah. It's a very interesting text what goes on. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I'm going to break these Ten Commandments. The reason being, how is that helping the Jewish people?
Then it doesn't look as if they're not faithful.
Right, so let's maybe share a background story. Someone said, tell a story about two ladies were sitting at home. It was 10 o'clock at night, and one lady says, my husband's an hour late. And she started getting jealous. Said, who knows what happened? Who knows who he's with? And she's suspecting all kinds of things. And her friend says, maybe don't be such a pessimist. Be optimistic. So what could I be optimistic about? I don't know. Maybe he got killed in a car accident. Yeah? The same story goes on over here. The Jewish people just got married. Fresh. This is like they're waiting, or they're actually waiting to get married. They're waiting for their chuppah to happen. Imagine, we should never know such things, that a groom, while he's going to uncover his wife's face, he sees her with another man. Not just, sitting down and talking. One thing that would do to him. Destroy him. What would do to their marriage? Destroy the marriage. What would it say about her?
She's not faithful.
A lot more than that, but a lot of things. Basic line,
She's not ready to marry.
Moshe Rabbeinu is coming down from Har Sinai with a ketubah that Hashem is sending to us. And he sees the Jewish people, instead of dancing with Hashem, are dancing with another man. They're dancing with the golden calf. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, I have two choices. I can give them the marriage contract, and then they'll be married, and then they'll be cheaters. They'll be not loyal, they'll be not faithful. Or I can break the marriage contract, and they'll never have gotten married, and we'll let them get away with it. Which one's better? I don't know. Which one's better? Cheating or dying in a car accident? Which one's better? Moshe Rabbeinu makes this call. It's a spur of the moment call. He says, I'd rather them not be married. I'd rather them not. So it comes back to Hashem. Hashem, remember that ketubah you sent me? Yeah. I decided not to give it to them. But why? I wanted to get married. They were, why? There was the catering not gonna. Why? I'm trying to figure it out.
The band.
And the band. It was the band, right? And Moshe Rabbeinu says, let's tell the truth. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows everything anyways. They were dancing with another man. Now, regardless of the legal detail of did they take the ketubah, did they not, are they married, were they loyal, were they not, practically though, these are two people who are in a relationship. And one found out the other one's cheating. And regardless of the fact that they made up, and Moshe Rabbeinu got them to make peace, he was the Shalom Bait man between the two of them. And they made peace, and Hashem sent another Ketubah a little while later, and he sent another 10 Commandments. That's the kind of thing you don't forget so easy. That's the kind of thing that if it would ever come up again, and you doubt, so the husband has good reason to suspect that it could happen again.
How long did it take him to say the second set?
It's a good question.
Because from what you understand, it's from like Shavuot, where you got they got the second one on Shavuot. So when did we get the first one? What's the first one?
If my wife was here, she'd know all the exact dates at the right times. I'm not so good with dates in general, but it's a good question. If anybody know the answer to this question?
But if he came down, if the anniversary of the golden calf is in Yom Kippur.
Oh, so you should just do the math.
You just go back from there. It was the first of Elul.
Basically between now
And Shavuot.
and Shavuot. See, that's a good point.
So it
You have your answer.
So it took longer.
It took a little while.
It's because Moshe had to do it himself.
It took a little while. And it's true, Moshe Rabbeinu did write these on his own. And Hashem is saying, you know what? You know us better. You know our relationship better. You just write it. You write the 10 Commandments on.
Now, do you think it just took 1 year, like 9 months, for him to decide that he would give it back to us? That seems a little bit close, don't you think?
A little close.
No.
Some would say it seems a little far.
It was a long time yet.
But so, how'd they come?
It's because their parents didn't let, so they were working with that, you know?
If the people thought 7 weeks it was too long, or whatever the thing was too long, there is a longer time between Yom Kippur and Shavuot.
It wasn't the Moshe Rabbeinu getting disappeared. The time wasn't the problem. The problem was they thought it was never going to happen. They thought the Chatan got cold feet and wasn't coming to the wedding.
So it wasn't a case of miscalculation? They didn't know it was supposed to be 40 days?
Yeah, they did.
I mean, isn't there something that says that they did know the number and they miscounted?
Okay, exactly.
I mean, that's
so,
one.
but then on a deeper level, so what is this miscounting? What do everyone miscounted? Everybody got.
Right.
There's something in the story.
Everybody bought into the calf anyway. We didn't.
Who's we?
We women.
We Levim didn't either.
Women. You didn't either.
I didn't either.
Ah, there we go.
See?
But the women gave their gold.
No, the men took the gold.
No, they didn't. The men had their own.
The men took their
And they had their own. So didn't they have their stole the gold from their women?
and the Jewish ladies gave their gold on their own to the Mishkan, to the building of the Mishkan.
The Kippur.
It's another classic case where the ladies come out victorious. Here in the Golden Calf. The whole story here is a hard story. But suffice it to say, the golden calf is not just about a calf that people danced around in the desert. Rather, it's this suspicion, this worry, this doubt of Hashem. Maybe they're cheating on me again. And Yom Kippur comes around, and it's like that black X on the calendar. We're okay, we're great, we've been doing fine, we're together now for 2,000 years. You know, it's a pretty long marriage, right? Yeah, I don't know what kind of diamonds or gold you buy for that anniversary, but every time it comes around. This is that one day, though, you still remember, I don't know, the 10th of Tishrei? We know what happened today. And the Jewish people in Hashem are in a slightly awkward situation, because we remember it again. But then again, we mentioned last week, we know that the children will not suffer for something their parents did. I didn't do the golden calf. I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't there. We weren't there. Okay, on a mystical level, we were all on Mount Sinai. Fine, I got it. They have a Jewish dating website called Saw You at Sinai.
Okay, Saw You at Sinai.
You know, because we have a tradition that all the souls of the whole world were there on Mount Sinai. So now you just have to meet them again. So it's like Saw You at Sinai, right? So now we're going to meet each other now.
Never heard of it.
So that's
I had to pay for it. I didn't know what it was. I knew what it was, but the name now it makes
now
sense.
you get it. Saw You at Sinai. What we're saying is, these two souls met each other at Mount Sinai. Now they just need someone to help them meet each other again. That's the idea behind it. Now, as cute of a name as it is, at the end of the day, why should I be guilty of something I didn't do? And you even see that the Kohen Gadol in this whole service, Yom Kippurim is that day you don't want to bring out the golden calf word. You don't want to remind Hashem of that, as if He doesn't know. All this is it's a very delicate line to cross, because when we start saying reminding Hashem of things, as if Hashem forgot, or as if that I could do something that's going to remind it. All these things are very human terms that we try to label onto Hashem that are not really able to label Him with. Rav Kook says something beautiful. Rav Kook says that calling Hashem all-powerful or all-knowing is idolatry, avodah zarah.
Okay.
What's that word that Jewish Christians use? Omnipotent.
Yeah.
I don't know what that word means. You would never use that word on your own, just because it's in the art scroll. So now you know what that word means. Omnipotent, says Rav Kook, is avodah zarah to say such a thing. I'll tell you why. When you say that Hashem is all powerful, you're taking away from Hashem the ability to
Decide to change.
What's the opposite of all
To
powerful?
not be powerful.
Does Hashem have the ability to not be powerful?
Yes.
Sure. Hashem is all-knowing. Does He have the ability not to know? If you take away Hashem's ability not to know, in essence you're saying, I'm limiting Hashem. Exactly. Anything that limits Hashem, even if it's a good limitation, is really a bad limitation for Hashem. In Kabbalah, this whole story then goes to prove why man was created. Many Kabbalists, I mentioned this briefly on Shabbat, I'm not going to go into it right now. Many Kabbalists are of the opinion that human beings were created, and we say we're created in the image of God, meaning that we are that part of Hashem that can experience imperfection, that can experience not knowing, can experience not being powerful. And Hashem actually lives through us. And when we're successful, we give Hashem a feeling of success. When we're not successful, our failure is Hashem's success. Our failure is Hashem being able to say, I know what failing feels like. This is a very deep idea that's very dangerous to Baruch Spinoza. You know who he is? When he started dabbling with these things, ended up in a very wrong place. Because these concepts are nice, they're interesting, they have very powerful ramifications. According to Kabbalah, even the bad things that we do are not as bad as we would like them to seem, because they have a reason for them. And once you see the reason and what it does for Hashem, all these things put things into a certain perspective. On the other hand, it can get very dangerous in the point of, so I'll do everything wrong because Hashem really needs to experience what it's like to fail. You know, these things we don't dabble so much in these topics. But I was telling you, Rav Kook says there are two words for the word in Hebrew. How do you say a word in Hebrew? Milah. What else? No, it's not a word. Davar is the thing. In more archaic Hebrew, you point to one word in a sentence. It's called a teva. Anybody know this one? Tevot. How many tevot are in a sentence? Tell me what the word milah means. Word, right? But what else does it mean? What? Brit milah. What is that?
Covenant. No, but
We're back to the words like omnipotent. Milah means lamul. What is lamul?
It's to circumcise.
To circumcise, literally to cut. To cut. And the word teva, where else do you find the word teva?
On your shoes.
That's funny. That's funny. No, that's teva, like what Paul just said. That's with a tet. Here's with a taf.
Yes,
Taf yud vet hey.
It's
Teva. Oh, very nice. Tevat Noach. Noach had a teva, an ark. Says Rav Kook, if you look very carefully at the Hebrew words for words, their synonyms are either to cut or to put in a box. And Hashem can neither be cut, nor can He be put in a box. And therefore, whenever you describe Hashem in words, you're getting yourself in a very, very dangerous spot. Because you are actually saying avodah zarah. You're essentially limiting HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or putting him in a box, or cutting him into pieces. That's what words do. According to Hasidic philosophy, you know that most Hasidic songs don't have words. You know that? Every Hasidic song is called na 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 na. That's pretty much. Would you want to say something?
I mean, you know how you said, okay, so God, no one's limit God by saying that Hashem by saying it's all powerful. It's the same thing. Can you not say that God is all good?
Sure.
Is that limiting too?
Sure. But on the other hand, God is all good.
Right.
And nor is He not always good. Everything Hashem is, you cannot put Hashem into words. And what we say, Rav Kook actually says, we put Hashem into words, it's an idolatry that's permitted to us just because we are humans and don't have any other option. And when we give statements about Hashem, we label Him or we describe Him a certain way, we're doing that because we don't have any other human way to convey this message.
Except the shofar. Right? Like the cry, the shofar, the blow of the shofar is in a way expressing what we can't express in words. It's like the nigun.
Oh, so I was just about to say about the nigun, the Hasidic nigun. Hasidim are of the opinion that words in a song limit the level of holiness or the heights that a soul can reach when a song is being sung. Because the words are holding a person down. They're physical things, they're boxed in or they're cut and they're holding a person in. But if a person were to sing just a tune, their soul will be able to reach all kinds of very high places. And there's actually a famous story about one of the Hasidic Rebbes who passed away when he was singing a song. His soul just left his body because he was reaching a level, and some Hasidim therefore only sing words with songs. It's an interesting idea, but that idea that when you use words, you're going to be limiting somebody.
But how do they, I mean, I know they sing this, but for example, if singing the song while davening or praying, you still have to say the words while praying.
Right, which is why Hasidim very often sing outside of davening, or in between sentences and davening. Because they're really into that song with no words. It's interesting though that this Kabbalistic concept doesn't exist in other Kabbalistic circles, specifically to the Hasidic movement. These words are but it's an interesting idea.
But that's part of how the Hasidim started.
How so?
With the songs,
well, it's actually an essential part of their philosophy, which is this words limit a person, and you don't want to limit yourself with words. You don't want to limit Hashem with words. It's for this reason that our rabbis tell us you shouldn't give Hashem any praises. You shouldn't say Hashem is X, Y, and Z. It's like Pringles. Tell me about it's like Pringles. Once you start, you can't stop. You know that famous commercial. Say our rabbis. So you're going to start saying Hashem is great, Hashem is amazing, Hashem, and that's it. That's all Hashem is. So you're better off just not saying anything. You're better off not trying, because if you start, you won't be able to stop. It's why when you praise a person, you're always going to do yourself a disservice. You know, you say, "Oh, someone she has such nice taste." Oh, you're telling me she doesn't look nice? Or are you saying she has such nice clothing? So you don't like her hair? No, I do, but you didn't say it. You know how this works. People are very much like this. Clearly, it struck more of a chord. We have, and some people might even specifically do things like that. I remember there was once a guy who told me when he goes on shidduchs, if the matchmaker says she has nice eyes, that means you're prepared for not such a nice date. And why? Because if that's all she could say, that's the only reason she said that. Okay.
It's like somebody saying, "Oh, but they have such a nice personality."
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, the person is not.
My mother is Israeli, which when she moved to San Diego, so she moved to a house where all the carpets were white, and all the carpets were brown. She put in all the white carpets, and her next door neighbor came over and said, "You are so brave." And my mom said, "Oh, thank you." And my father said, "No, when someone here tells you you're brave, that means you are so stupid." Yeah. It's part of when you say one thing, you may in essence be implying something else. And there's only one time in our prayer where we praise Hashem. In Shemona Esrei we say He's the God of Abraham, Ha'el, the God, Hagadol, who is great, Hagibor, who is mighty, V'Hanora, and who is awesome. Say it, rabbis. So how do we say these words? If it wasn't for Moshe Rabbeinu himself using these three words, we wouldn't be allowed to say them. But once Moshe Rabbeinu calls Hashem with these three words, we're allowed to use them too, but we don't add to those, and we don't take away from them. It's the only time in our prayer you'll find Hashem being called something, praised in a certain way. We don't want to limit Hashem. We got to this conversation about limiting Hashem, about words. All these feelings we talk about Hashem. Hashem being jealous, Hashem being angry, Hashem... The Sefer HaChinuch, it's a medieval book on the 613 mitzvot. It says, Hashem gets angry, but I'm not allowed to be angry. Hashem told me I can't get angry. And we know that Hashem is supposed to keep His own Torah. So how can He get angry and I'm not allowed to get angry? And he writes in there a whole philosophical essay on anger and what anger means to Hashem. Let's put it in simple words. Hashem didn't get angry. But the closest way we could convey to a person what it is that Hashem felt like would be anger. So why do we say Hashem's angry? What else am I going to say? I don't have another word that I can use that's going to describe that. So Hashem allows me temporarily to use such a word. That being said, Yom Kippurim is that anniversary of a not so happy day. In the Ashkenazi Jewish community, there's a custom in Yom Kippurim not to wear gold. Just don't bring up that whole concept of gold. This is based on a very ancient Jewish tradition that the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippurim did not wear gold. Even though the whole year he wore gold clothing, on Yom Kippurim
He wore white.
He wore white. Marlene, are you okay?
Yes, I just want to warm it up enough.
Oh, okay. So, Marlene was here on Rosh Hashanah. So Elchanan and Marlene are now best friends. They know each other. Baruch Hashem. Comes Yom Kippurim. We can't be punished for a golden calf that we didn't do. We can't, memorialize an anniversary of something we didn't do. So the question is, why do we even do Yom Kippurim? Why are we doing anything on this anniversary of Yom Kippurim? I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do it. So our rabbis tell us, Yom Kippurim, the golden calf, we all have our own golden calves. We all have times in our life where, for lack of better words, we're cheating on Hashem. Hashem wants us to do X and we're doing a Y with someone else. Hashem wants us to do one thing and we're doing another thing. Rosh Hashanah, we don't bring out, you're not allowed to do tshuva in Rosh Hashanah. You don't beat your chest, you don't cry, because Rosh Hashanah is not a Jewish holiday. Just like when a husband and wife fight, they don't fight in public. Yeah. They're supposed to. Why? Because at the end of the day, they're going to get along with each other. The person outside is never going to remember that they got along. They're only going to remember that they fought. It's like when a person tells their practical example. Two people in a relationship. A good word of advice when things go bad, you shouldn't be telling your parents. You shouldn't be telling your parents, because you'll forget once you make up with each other, but the parents won't, because the parents weren't there when you made up. The same thing on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is a time where we don't bring out our dirty laundry, because this is a holiday not just for Jews. And so the non-Jews are there. And we have to say, listen, whatever we have with Hashem and us, we're going to keep for a private time we're going to talk. We're going to keep for a private time. That's Yom Kippurim. Yom Kippurim is only a Jewish holiday because a husband and wife can only talk in private. You can't invite the whole world to come with you. This is the perhaps deeper meaning of our rabbis who tell us that the temple was packed on Yom Kippurim. Packed to what point? Anyone know how packed it was?
How packed was it?
People couldn't move. We were smashed in there like sardines.
But when they bent down to pray, there was enough room.
What prayer? What prayer?
No. I can remember. I just did it.
Yes, they were bowing down when they were saying vidui, when they were confessing their sins.
Correct.
We say there was enough room on each side so the person next to them couldn't hear them.
That's right.
Now, construction-wise, physical characteristics, that doesn't make any sense. The depth behind this teaching is even when all the Jews are together, when we get down and confess to Hashem, it's only between me and Him. Only me and Him. Not between my friends, not the other people in my community, not the people in my family, just us. Because we're in a relationship and other people don't even know about it. And it's actually interesting that the custom in most Jewish communities is when we say Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, we say it quietly. Except for, at least in the Lithuanian Jewish tradition, the Chazan says it out loud. Hashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Divanu, Dofi. Now, I don't understand that tradition because how could he be saying it out loud? This is the whole thing of us being quiet. It could be that according to them, the Jewish people as a whole are the wife of Hashem. And therefore, we as a whole can say it, so long as it's just us. Not in Rosh Hashanah, only in Yom Kippurim. It's interesting.
It's written in the plural too.
It's written in the
plural. So we're already like speaking.
Right, but we say a lot of personal prayers in the plural. But that's true. It is written in the plural. So, to make a long story short, to summarize everything I just said, Yom Kippurim is the anniversary of the golden calf. But we're not doing tshuva for the golden calf. We're doing tshuva for our own golden calves. We know that tzaddik, a righteous person, his deen is not judged on Yom Kippurim. Why? He doesn't have golden calves. Yom Kippurim is for the person who's 50-50. Yom Kippurim is for the person who's somewhere in the middle, like us. That's what we are. And a person has to know that this is my time to talk to Hashem about all the stuff that exists between us. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev. You know Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev? He's a famous Hasidic rabbi. Famous for always looking favorably at the Jewish people. He was the one that would see a Jewish person doing something wrong and say something good about it. Always he had something good to say. Yom Kippurim, his highlight of the surfaces was by Ne'ilah. Ne'ilah, he would come with a notebook of all the sins of the Jewish people. Shabbat, kosher, tefillin, mezuzah, lashon hara, speaking bad about people, the fighting, everything he could have. And he would read it out loud. And everybody would be crying in his shoulder, crying at Hashem, listen, we did this wrong. We did this wrong. And he goes through his whole notebook of a year worth of avirot. You can imagine it was a big book. Then he pulls out a second notebook. Hashem, but let's say that you're not exactly innocent either. And he starts talking about all the disasters that happened that year in the world. And all the people in the world who don't have enough money. And all those people who died and left families behind. And he goes through a whole list of things. Hashem, so let's do this. I'll get rid of one of yours, you get rid of one of ours. And he would do this, and they would cross one off the list until he finished Ne'ilah, and that's how Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berdichev did Ne'ilah. And this idea is a little bit chutzpah to do to Hashem, like what, you're Avirot, let's do a swap. The idea behind it, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak saying, it's still a relationship. And we have the right to also share our side of things with Hashem. We're also able to talk to Hashem. We're not the only ones that have to lower our head and say we're sorry. Hashem could say, listen, I did X, Y, and Z because I felt that we're not really in a relationship anymore. I did that because I thought that you were with somebody else. Could be. We have to at least give Hashem a chance to say it. That's what Yom Kippurim is about. Yom Kippurim is the most intimate moment in the whole Jewish calendar. There's only one day holier than Yom Kippurim.
Shabbat.
The wedding? Purim.
Very nice.
Purim.
Very nice.
Really?
Purim.
Wow.
We've turned Purim into like a Jewish Halloween.
Yes.
It's the most ridiculous thing we've done in our whole world. You get in costumes, people get drunk, I don't know, they're dancing all over the place. Yom HaKippurim. It's not called Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is like an American word. Yom HaKippurim is how it's called in Hebrew, which means Yom, the day, which is like Kippurim. It's like Purim. Because Purim is a time where we get to celebrate together. Finally we met up, we had our conversation, we worked things out, we had a little test period of time together. This is the time we dance. We get in costumes, we throw a party, we have meals, we read Megillah. This is the celebration of a successful Shlom Bayit, a successful marital harmony that we put together here with Hashem. Yom Kippurim. Yom Kippurim is not so sad. It's just a hard conversation that we have to have so we can get back into our normal relationship with Hashem. And it's our part and his part. It's a two-sided street. And Hashem says, there's many times we say in the Tefillah, Vayomer Adonai, Salachti kidvarecha. I've forgiven you like everything you've said. You have to say it, but once you say it, Hashem forgives us. Hello, hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
That being said,
Yes, I'm sorry.
it's okay, you don't have to be sorry. You always interrupt.
I was in trouble.
How are you? I told you if I wouldn't, I would never get to talk. Hi. How are you? How are you? Good.
Hello, how are you? Shana Tova, welcome back.
Oh, and to you. And to you.
It's quite Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Same here. But no, you sit. I can get around. Oh, look at you sitting there. I'm glad they let you out of Turkey.
They didn't want me.
They didn't want you to get, but I thought they might want Paulette, not you.
They were waiting for her to go.
Paulette at least smiles. You. When did you guys get back in?
I got enlisted tonight.
Oh, wow. And I
You?
got Wednesday.
That was a long trip.
Yes, it was.
Were you together?
The trip, yeah. So we're on the same tour.
That's so nice. How was it?
They're still alive. That's what counts.
Still alive.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Their next trip, they're going to Saudi Arabia.
In a nutshell, what would you describe to?
Archaeologically fascinating.
Fascinating.
And
Okay.
we were nowhere near anything that worries everybody else.
Yeah, but me and Marilyn are still going to Israel. New York.
So we handed out papers here. And these papers are perhaps the other side of Yom Kippur. Everyone's going to talk about doing tshuva and repenting and all the bad things we're doing. It's not for us. We're in a different kind of class. Everyone have a paper?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you can share with the person next to you. Issue. The bottom part is from Rav Kook. I don't know who wrote the top part, but let's see the bottom part. See what it says, Rav Kook? It's in Hebrew.
Okay.
Rav Kook has a book called Ein Ayah. Ein Ayah. Ayah stands for Avram Yitzchak HaKohen Kook. That was his name. So a lot of Rav Kook's books are called the Ra'ayah, Rav Avram Yitzchak Kook, or Ayah, Avram Yitzchak Kook. Ein Ayah is his commentary on the Ein Yaakov, which is the collection of all the stories in the Talmud. Masechet Maaser Shani, Perek Zayin Mishnah Yud, is on tractate Maaser Shani. Rav Kook says Al-Ken, therefore, Kishem, just like Sheyesh, there is To'elet Gdola, a great need, L'tikun HaNefesh, for fixing your soul, B'vidui ha'avanot, by confessing those things that we do wrong. Just like it's good for us to, once in a while, just air out the things that we do wrong. Say them, verbalize them. I spoke about this on Shabbat. You actually have to say them in your mouth, verbally, because when we keep things inside, we tend to forget that we did these things wrong. We are in denial, and the best part of denial is never to be able to say them, even to ourselves. And so Hashem says, look, you have to say it outside, vidui, with your mouth. So just like that is a very constructive thing to do. Gam ken bevidui ha-mitzvot. You also have to do a vidui of your mitzvot, a confession of the things that you do right, not just of the things you do wrong. Why? Leman yismach bahem bilvavos. You'll have something to be joyous about in your heart. And when you're happy about who you are and the things that you do, yichazek orchot chayav. You'll strengthen the way that you live your life, b'derech Hashem, in the way that Hashem wants it to be. So, of course, your whole Jewish experience cannot be negative. Your whole Yom Kippur experience can be negative. You have to think about the things that you do that are right. You have to be fair. You have to say that I do things that are wrong. We all do things that are wrong. And you have to be able to verbalize it to Hashem. Say, Hashem, listen, I might not even have a plan to fix this right now. But I have to be fair. I know you told me to do this, but I'm not doing it yet. But say it. Because Hashem, listen, I'm not so bad either. There are a lot of things I do right. I'm a good person. I take care of somebody, I smile at somebody, I eat, whatever it is that I do right, say it to Hashem. Like I said on Shabbat, Hashem knows everything about us. He doesn't need us to verbalize these things to Him as much as
we need to verbalize to Him.
We need to verbalize to ourselves. See, I think a lot of times in this time of year, people feel immensely guilty. Immensely guilty. They go to shul and the rabbi always has something very positive to say. And people are knocking each other on the heads. You do this wrong and that wrong. Maybe this is the time of year to change your life around. Or whatever it is. There is something to it that Jewish people develop guilt. You know, that's our secret weapon. We are behind this. And we have to know about it. Like, we use it everywhere. We use it to guilt trip our children and our husbands and our wives and our parents and the people at shul and everyone. We're always going to make someone else feel guilty. That's part of being Jewish. That's an essential part of our nature. But We don't only need to feel guilty. We should also feel very happy about the things that we do that are good. We have to reinforce the positive side of ourselves as well. Because if we consistently knock ourselves, we'll have such low self-esteem, we'll never make right decisions again. Because we're always looking at ourselves like we're bad. So if I'm bad, so why would I make a good choice? If I'm such a bad person, then why even bother doing something good? If I'm such a bad person. But if I'm not such a bad person, I do things wrong, but I also do so many things right, so probably my next decision will be good. For example, there are parents who only know how to tell their children. They give them feedback only when they do something wrong. There's a lot of negative feedback. Never any positive feedback. Parents think that this strong attitude or opinion being shown is going to knock some sense into their kids, and their kids are going to start making right decisions, because who wants to get screamed at? But at the end of the day, it's a disservice both to them and to their children. Because a kid who keeps getting knocked down for doing something wrong is going to ultimately think that they only do things that are wrong. And a kid who only does things that are wrong, or thinks that they only do things that are wrong, when they're going to have to choose between doing something good or bad, why do something good? I don't get anything from being good. Why do it?
It's negative reinforcement.
Right. You know, Esav. Not a very nice Jewish character. The kind of guy you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley at night. Probably not in the daytime either. Esav was just not a good guy. He wasn't the most Jewish of our family members. Esav, though, had one good character trait, which was honoring his father. He didn't honor his mother, just his father. Just his father. But his father knew all the bad things that he did. His father knew that he was a murderer, and he was all kinds of things he knew about him. But his father always gave him credit for taking care of him. And his father really boosted his self-esteem by saying, "You're such a good son to me. You take such good care of me. You respect me. You feed me." There's a certain sense of endearment you cannot ignore when you read about the relationship of Esav and his father. To the point where Esav, when he gets buried, as we know, all of our forefathers got buried in Marat HaMachpelah, the cave in Hebron. Even Esav got buried there. Just his head. Just his head.
Just his head?
Isis got him?
Isis got him.
Something like that. And our rabbis say, what did Esav do that his head merited to get buried with the righteous people of the world? They said he did one good thing. He did it with his mouth. He fed his father. He took care of him. Even that's worth something. And it's worth it that even though he's a rotten person at his core, and we don't give Esav so much credit for doing anything good aside from that, he still deserves credit where credit's due. And it's like that in the whole world. We're so...
took his head.
No, that's what happened.
This is a nice story in the Midrash about his head rolling into the cave. Okay, it's an interesting... But I think that in our life we have to incorporate that, not just towards other people. I think we're so negative when it comes to other people. If someone does something wrong, we cannot ever see the good that they do. Now, there's a politician we don't like. Has that politician ever done anything right?
Yes. Even though he's done tons of things wrong, they are right.
And you have to give credit. Whoever it is, whatever.
It doesn't matter, whoever.
You have to give credit where credit's due. That's part of our understanding of the world. When you see a person who sits next to you at shul and they're always this, they're always that, but they do something else that's nice to you, and they always say hi to you. So treat them as a person, not the kind of person you want to hang out with, but the kind of person who says Shabbat Shalom to you, say Shabbat Shalom back. You don't have to always look at a person as they're also good. But especially ourselves. Yom Kippurim is not a time to knock ourselves down. Yom Kippurim is a time to be very self-aware. Being self-aware does come with tears and comes with regrets and comes with all kinds of things, but not with the purpose of lowering myself, not with the purpose of knocking myself, with the purpose of figuring out that I want to lead a better life next year. But an essential part of that is not just getting rid of things that are bad, but rather also figuring out what's good. My wife tells a famous story from the Slonomer Rebbe. The Rebbe Slonim, Rebbe Noach Shalom Berezovsky. I think that's his name. The Slonomer Rebbe writes that there's a verse in Tehillim. The verse says, Sur mera v'aseh tov. Leave evil and do good. He says, if I'm doing good, obviously I'm leaving evil. If I'm leaving evil, obviously I'm doing something good. So what's so repetitive? Leave evil and do good. So Slonim Rebbe shares a story. He says once a guy got new shoes. It was a rainy day, and the sun comes out, but there's still mud everywhere. And he walks outside, steps into a puddle of mud. And he's so angry at himself. These are brand new shoes. He just bought them yesterday. And so he says, I'm going to calm down. I'm going to relax. I'm going to clean my shoes off. Everything's going to be okay. So, in the puddle of mud, he picks up his right foot, cleans off his whole shoe with a towel. Okay, perfectly clean. But now his left foot is still in the mud. So he puts his right foot down, picks up his left foot. You know those Chachmei Chelm, the sages of Chelm? So he cleans his left shoe, puts it down, notices his right shoe is dirty. And he's doing this for an hour, and he's so angry. How come his shoes keep getting dirty? Says the Slonim Rebbe, if you would have only stepped onto the sidewalk and then cleaned your shoes, so you would be able to stay good. It's an important part, not just to do good, but to step out of the mud, to step onto the sidewalk. You cannot completely clean yourself if you don't step out of the mud. But stepping out of the mud is not enough to clean yourself. You also have to reinforce the things that you do that are good. And so someone put together something, this is not from Rav Kook, but it's based on this teaching from Rav Kook. All the things that we've done right. When you say Hashamnu, he says you should say this list also. And I don't know that it has any halachic value, but it's definitely springboard for thought value. Let's go through them together. The first one? Ahavnu. What does Ahavnu mean? We've loved. You know, this video always goes like the Aleph Bet. The first one is Hashamnu. We've embarrassed ourselves. So this one is we've loved. Who have we loved? Who? People, Hashem, ourselves, our children,
Everybody.
our spouse. We love. There are people that we love. That's put it on your list. I love. I don't just hate. I also love.
Hate is a horrible word.
It is, but some of us have that unfortunate, horrible word in our heart.
I would not allow my boys to say growing up, hate. You dislike, you don't like, but you don't hate.
What if someone does hate?
Nothing you can do about it, but you try to teach your other people that are in your life. Hate is a really
Bad word.
word.
I agree.
Well, in Musar, there is a system for working with those particular emotions that are overdone on the negative side, to bring them back into more middle of the road, positive side. But that's a different system.
Well, the Rambam mentions such a thing. The Rambam says that extremism is always wrong. Anything extreme is wrong, even if it's good. Even if it's extreme, for example, someone who's extreme in charity, meaning they give all their money away to poor people, that's not a good thing. Because then that person is going to be poor, is going to have to ask other people for handouts. It's not a good thing to be so generous. Very generous, yes. Cheap, no. Somewhere in the middle is right. What does a person do if they are overly generous? They always give tzedakah to people. They cannot. They lose every time they come home. They come home with $3. Their whole paycheck goes to somebody else. Are you allowed to be a stingy person? No, but the Rambam would prescribe for this person, take a year, and you were not allowed to give anybody else a penny. But that's wrong. It's a bad attitude. I can't be. But
That's the remedy for that particular
person. And the Rambam says you're going to knock yourself to the other extreme, and you're not going to stay there because that's not natural for you to stay there. And you will slowly move yourself back, but you'll find yourself in the middle somewhere. Yeah. The Rambam does this with many things, with anger, with all kinds of things that you could do this with. One of my students sent me an interesting piece today in the morning. Actually, he wrote it up. It's a deep Kabbalistic theological piece that he's been researching for a while. I didn't get a chance to go through all of his logic and reasoning, but the thesis was that Hashem gives us mitzvot that are a one-size-fits-all. Yet, we have certain situations where that one-size-fits-all doesn't apply. For example, the stingy person who needs to be generous. So he has to actually give a lot of money away, more than he normally should. Or vice versa. Oh, but you're not allowed to do that. Hashem says you shouldn't. Right, but that mitzvah applied in general. Specifically, there are exceptions to every rule. And he was actually showing how the system of halacha allows for exceptions to its rules. there are things that we sometimes do that are actually in direct violation of halacha. And our rabbis warned them as Eit la'asot la'Hashem hefiru toratecha. There are times where in order to help Hashem, you have to violate the Torah. Now that's not for every Joe Schmo to decide that I know when those times are. But a classic example, Hashem taught Moshe Rabbeinu an oral Torah. With one wish, you are not allowed to write it down. You are not allowed to write. It's oral, no writing. 2,000 years of our history. Rabbi Yonatan Halevy comes along one day and starts writing down the oral Torah. And the rabbis say, "What are you doing? You're not allowed to write this down." Now today, the Gemara, the Talmud is like our, primary text. But there were very many what you would call Orthodox rabbis who said, "How could you write it down? Don't you know that there's a mitzvah in the Torah you can't write it down?" And Rabbi Yonatan Halevy said, "People are forgetting the oral Torah. And if I don't write it down, it's going to completely be forgotten. And there are some times where in order to keep the Torah, to protect the Torah, you have to break the Torah." So some of the rabbis say, "But who are you to make that call?" Now it's true, I wouldn't be able to make that call. But we believe that Rabbi Yonatan Halevy was able to make that call. And so into that system is built in, sometimes you break something to come back somewhere good. Sometimes you have to be exceptionally stingy to balance out your extreme generosity. Or whatever that is. That's the, I don't know if that's the Musar system you meant,
Absolutely.
but that's there is such a system. Definitely.
Yeah. For every emotion, for every whatever, it could be anger. Whatever.
And there are times the person has to know. I saw a very interesting, we shouldn't know such things, but a very interesting halachic response. Most of the books on my shelf are halachic works, most of them. I have a little of other stuff, but that's my pride and my joy. A vast majority of it being halachic letters. People ask a rabbi a letter and he writes back an original response. If it's Rabbi Bar Yosef or Rabbi Moshe Feinstein or whoever it is that wrote these letters. There's a tshuva over there from Rabbi Shlomo Aviner, who's a big rabbi in Jerusalem today. And there are new questions that the halakha community is dealing with that we didn't deal with before. What is a person who has OCD? How does a person like that study halakha or observe Judaism if it's actually feeding into their problem and it's actually allowing for them a very ripe place, a very fertile environment to breed more OCD, more details, more things to be particular about, more. What does a person do? The person he's a rabbi writing letters. This is my natural inclination. This is when I see an ability to be even more particular. I'm even more particular in that opinion. He said it's ruining himself, it's ruining his family, it's ruining his children. How does he do things? How is he supposed to be Jewish? Now this is a question that is fascinating, just where it goes psychologically. And Rabbi Aviner, before he answers the question, make sure that he's getting psychological help for whatever he's going through, and that is true. So now he's asked from a halakhic perspective, and Rabbi Aviner sets a whole bunch of guidelines for him. If you are praying and you think that you said a word wrong, you are not allowed to repeat yourself. If you are doing a mitzvah, you can't do that mitzvah anymore. If you are, if your wife should make kiddush for you, so on and so forth. You shouldn't say amen to someone's, so on, a whole list of things. Rabbi said, you have to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. And so even though a normal person wouldn't be allowed to do that, but you have an obligation to take care of yourself. And I don't know why, but that tshuva stuck out in my head. That's very fascinating for me. For halakhic literature to become so opposite of itself, yet so practical. This is trying to do the same thing. You have to say things that are good also. Have a beautiful day.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
The next one? What's the next one? What does that mean?
Cry.
We've cried. Is that a good thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I think sometimes it's very good to cry. It gets out your emotions. And then you could then think about why you cry.
So what good thing are we trying to tell Hashem on this? We've cried. What's good about that? What are we trying to say to Hashem?
Like we felt a pain, or we are repenting of something, or
we're a work in progress. We're actually trying to do something about it. We feel very sincere emotions. That's a good thing. The next one? Gamalnu, even though Gamal, have a beautiful day. Gamal means camel in Hebrew. That's not what it means here. Gamalnu. And what word then?
It's camel.
Means camel, it's true.
Yeah, but it's like full, like fullness.
Stubborn. You've been stubborn.
Gomel chasadim tovim. Hashem is Gomel chesed. He bestows kindness on us. We've performed acts of kindness. Like what?
Helping somebody.
Helping somebody. How?
Whatever, it's just opening the door or helping somebody get up or doing something more, stuck out. Because something.
All of these things. I remember I was once with Rabbi Peretz. He told me a story. He said he was the night before by the Shuk, Machne Yehuda Shuk, famous market in Israel. And there was an old lady, and he's not a young guy, but a much older lady. Could be in, probably shouldn't even be out shopping alone. Yet she was, because she thought she could do it. And she really couldn't get herself across the street. She couldn't, and she was like stuck halfway through the street. People were walking by her, and Rav Peretz ran to the street, picked her up, and carried her to the other side. And so the other guys were with them, Rabbi, you can't touch a lady, da da da, whatever people say. And Rav Peretz says, who exempted you from doing acts of kindness? That a lady needs help across the street? Who said that you're not allowed to help her? Who? If she was 18, I don't know, when she could walk, she just wanted someone to carry her across the street. That's her problem, not his problem. But yeah, a person has to use their seichel. We do acts of kindness in all kinds of places. Dibarnu, normally we say Dibarnu Dofi. What does Dibarnu Dofi mean? And the bad side. We speak Dofi. What is Dofi?
Evil.
Yeah, not such nice things. But here, he says Dibarnu
Yofi.
Yofi. What is Yofi?
Nice
things.
Yes.
We say nice things about people sometimes. We compliment people. What do we say that's nice? What, in a practical case, where are you nice to people? How?
Let them know you appreciate them.
We say things to them about appreciating them. You compliment someone what they're wearing. For some people, they get dressed in the morning only so somebody should compliment them what they're wearing. And so if they get dressed to the T and then they walk outside and the whole day nobody says anything to them, you know what they feel like at night? There are people
with an unhappy punim.
An unhappy punim, right? There are people who walk around looking for compliments because at home they don't get compliments, and they're looking for someone else to give them a compliment. So by complimenting them, you're actually giving them a whole new life they didn't have somewhere else. We say a lot of nice things. So tell Hashem, I say nice things. What else? Hey? What does that mean? The root of this word? Very, very nice. Emunah, we believe. This is a good video. We believe in Hashem. We believe in people. We believe in ourselves. You want to give the class?
Now he's happy.
He
He's mommy.
He has his mommy.
Say hi.
He ate his thing, he has his mommy, what else? Right?
I let you smile. Come on. You got a little cold.
He's been sniffling the whole day.
Yeah.
The next word? What does that mean?
To do things.
When someone says, "Can you go to the store and buy me something?" I'll say in Hebrew,
Here's some Rav.
"Eshtadel."
I will do it.
I will find a way to do it.
I'll try as hard as I can. Meaning, we've tried. Hashem, this is not exactly, we haven't accomplished always, but we've tried. You should give us some kind of credit for that. We tried. The world is a cruel world. Because the world doesn't give us credit for trying. People who try but they're not successful, they don't get any credit. They might as well just not have tried at all. They might as well just not done it. We believe that Hashem gives us credit for trying, even as much as being successful. I had a teacher in class that if you would write "I don't know" on the test, would give you half the mark.
Better say something.
Because you said something. And now if you would write the whole test, I don't know, obviously. But if you really didn't know, it's instead of guessing, right? "I don't know." Or if your answer was kind of close, they'd give you 3 points. Because we tried. To teach people that trying is also worth something. What are you trying to do?
You got a bump?
I don't know, I saw his eye right now.
Yeah. What happened?
It wasn't on my watch.
Who did you fight with?
Drinking too much at everybody.
Who did you fight with?
Maybe it's somebody's lipstick.
Is it
Who
a
knows?
bump or is it just?
I don't know, that's what I'm trying to
Or
figure
is it
out.
lipstick?
Look,
If it's red, it could be lipstick. I don't know.
if it's a bump, we're going to smear butter on instead.
Oh, no, it's a bump.
It is
It's
a
a
bump.
bump.
It's a bump.
Absolutely.
When did he get
It's a big
bumped?
bump.
He didn't have the bump this morning when you came. No, he didn't have it, so you should tell
Kissing him
her.
too
She's going to
much.
get me in trouble that I wasn't a good babysitter. Zayin?
Zacharnu, to remember.
What have we remembered? Anything. There's no right answer to this question. Just trying to speak about them. What good things have we remembered?
About what? About anything.
We're trying to tell Hashem we remembered. What do we remember?
The way Hashem wants us to be.
We remembered the way Hashem wants us to be.
All the things he did for us.
Right? We remember all the things Hashem did for us.
For the class that we have here.
Oh, Baruch Hashem, we do in memory of this class.
Our
What?
friends.
Oh, we remember our friends. We remember all kinds of
Our
things.
teacher, baby.
Right?
No, the baby's the next one with the chet. Next one. What does that mean? Yeah, we've hugged. Have we given people hugs this year?
Yes,
Yeah, is that a good thing?
yes.
If they're good people to hug, then it's a good thing. Yeah.
Hugs are very
Hugs are
important.
very important. I think hugs are really vital to life. I really do.
I agree.
There are parents. Thankfully, I see it's a model that's going out of date. But there are parents like fathers who don't hug their children.
Yes,
That model of parenting is terrible.
I agree.
A child needs physical attention from their parents. A
Absolutely.
must. There was research done, I don't remember if it was in Canada or it was in the United States, here, somewhere in North America, of a child who was raised by parents who were foster care, social service eventually took the children away. And this child was 10 years old and wasn't even able to read. Had learning problems, personality problems, very aggressive. And they gave this child to the care of an elderly lady who already had children and treated this girl like it was her grandchild. Hugged her, kissed her, went to walks with her, took her to the park. And in a matter of months, this girl went to be in the top of her class. She didn't have that physical care at home, and this warm personality took her under her wing and transformed her life. You know, this has halachic ramifications. Do you know where?
And we would adopt the children.
Adopted children.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to touch somebody who's not your direct child, parent, sibling in Jewish law. So what does a person do when they adopt a child?
You make it your
When
own.
they're little,
You
fine.
have to make it your own.
But technically, there are no laws of adoption. There is no Jewish law that says that when I adopt someone, they're my own child.
But when you adopt a child, the child belongs to you.
True, but not biologically.
Biologically, no, but
Right.
but lawfully,
Yeah, but that's
yes,
not.
because I adopted, so I know.
Let's.
I adopted.
So here's where we're going with this. Many are of the dry legal opinion. Okay, tough. You can't. Sorry. 12, 11, that's the cutoff age, and the rest of it could be verbal. And there, rabbis say, listen, with all due respect, now that we have this research under our belt and we know things that we didn't know, it could be that physical attention is a very basic necessity that a human being needs to survive. And for survival, we do all kinds of things that we normally wouldn't do. So I'm not sharing an official decision here, but this weighs in, even in halacha, that physical contact is necessary for certain people to revive them. The next one, tet. What does it mean? Ta'amnu means we tasted. What is sefer?
Book. Safe is
We
a book.
studied, we learned.
We've
Yes.
studied, we've learned, we've tried to advance our knowledge this year. Ta'amnu sefer. Now, we maybe not have finished all of the learning we need to do. Ta'amnu is like the taste, not to eat the whole bowl of soup, the taste. I want litom, right? But it's still something. It's worth something. We tried. Ta'amnu Sefer. These are all things we're trying to tell Hashem, look, we're not so bad. And even to ourselves. And just reading this list makes me think of, okay, there are good things that I do also. Baruch Hashem. The next one. What does Yatzarnu mean? You know this word.
We were straight?
Close. That's Yashar.
Yes.
Yatzarnu means we created. We created. What did we create?
Whatever.
New children.
We created children. We had relationships with people.
Yes.
We've created new ideas on how to help other people. We've been creative this year. We haven't just been dormant, stagnant. We've gone above and beyond what a normal person has to do for the good. I'll say this next one is I don't even know what it means. Kamahe. I don't know.
That one I don't know. I'm trying to work the shortest.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. The shortest is
do
there.
the same. Why
Kama would be how much.
Right.
How much? Kama is how much.
Okay. The next one, Lamed. Lachamnu. What does Lachamnu mean? The
Lechem.
Lechem would be a root of that, but here it's going to be a different root.
Milchama.
War. Milchama. We've gone to war. What?
Sure.
That's not a good thing. Lachamnu for what? Avur for
righteousness.
That's it, for righteousness. We fought people this year to become better. But we fought for good causes. We've supported righteous things. We stand for values. Hashem. We do fight for good things also, not just for our next meal or for our next pleasure. We also fight for things that are valuable. Mem?
Wait, Kama can be something like longing.
Oh, beautiful. We have longed. Thank you.
That's
Desired.
We've desired. We've yearned to be close to Hashem.
thanks to Google.
You know this word from a song.
Right.
He's a kama nichsof nichsachti. We sing in Yedid Nefesh.
We say
It's
Kama
been so long that we've yearned for Hashem. Or kama nafshi, my soul's yearned for Hashem.
Right.
It's very nice.
Nice.
We've yearned. Thank you. Skina mitzvot. Ma'am?
Mitzinu et hatov. Looking for the good.
Yeah. We've looked for the good in things. We've looked for the good in people. We found the good. Mitzinu could mean we actually did find.
Can you find good in every person?
Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely.
No,
I'm sure
100%.
Oh yes.
Some make it harder, but everybody has something good.
Absolutely.
It has to be, because if God dwells
Right.
inside of everybody,
It has to be
100%.
good somewhere.
you may
Yes.
not like their actions, or their actions might
Yeah,
be bad,
but they
God
can
is
be good
inside
to
of them.
somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody they are good.
Maybe not to
Absolutely.
you, but to someone else.
I tell my girls.
You might not see the good because the good that they're doing is not
Yeah.
anything to do with you.
Now, I described it to my girls recently. Before Rosh Hashanah, we were talking about it's not so much transforming yourself as much as finding the good, the real you. I explained to them, everybody was created in, what does it mean, God's image? So it says when you blow from within yourself, and it said God blew into man, and he blew from himself. And in essence, everybody really has something good, which just sometimes has so much grime on it that it's hard to see it. And I told them about 5 years ago, I ran a program in Israel for teenage girls. And one morning I slept in, and they decided to take the activities into their own hand. And I came out, I had a silver car that was smeared up from front to back with peanut butter, chocolate, and there were like Twizzlers sticking out. And they had carved things out. It looked beautiful. It was artwork, but couldn't see my car. So I told them they have to get now hoses, and they have to help me hose it down. You can't hose peanut butter down. It leaves like that ugly film. I told them, get into the car. We're driving to the car wash. Come to the car wash station. And the guy's like, are you kidding me? I said, come on, let's put it through the wash a few times. We went once, twice, 3 times. By the 5th time, the car was sparkling. And I told the girls, I said, look, we're sitting inside. Car washes are the funnest thing because you're watching, it's pouring, it's whooshing and wiping. And in essence, nothing happened to us. I said, did the interior change? No, because the interior was intact. But before that, you couldn't see that there was even an interior because it was so smeared up with peanut butter and chocolate, you couldn't see the inside. Now that it was clean, so you see how beautiful the inside was, and you see that it was never even touched. And I think that's with people also. There's so much good inside that's untouched. There's beauty, but sometimes people put on such a show, and they put on so much junk to the world that it's hard to feel it. Especially when that junk is toward you.
Absolutely.
You have people who. I once had somebody who's very hurtful, and I said, I think there's so much good in everybody. You're making it so hard for me to see your good because you're so hurtful.
So how do you explain, getting back to ISIS, how do you explain these men who behead people?
I think
there's some good in those people?
100%. I just think they've alienated themselves so much to the point that
I agree.
Which again doesn't mean these people shouldn't be put to death. They're a threat. A murderer belongs, more rehab.
A murderer might have a great relationship with his wife, but if he's on his way to murder somebody, we'd kill him. Even though he has something good inside of him. What can you do? You have to hold someone back from doing something wrong.
Hitler was good to his dogs.
Yeah. I mean, either you believe that God dwells inside of everyone, or you don't. And if you do believe that God dwells inside of everyone, then
everyone is everyone.
Everybody's got
everyone.
You don't have to
period.
be friends with them. You don't have to talk to them. You don't have to like them. But you have
there's a shirt in Israel that says, Israeli Secret Service. My job is so secret, I don't even know what I do. Right? There are some people that are so bad, they don't even know that there's anything good inside of them. It could be there are such people.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there is such good inside of them. We found that good inside of people.
Become archaeologists.
Nisinu. We've tried, similar to what we said before. Nisinu is
Here we are.
by the
Fourth
noon.
line down.
This is such a beautiful detail.
Nisinu.
We've tried. This is similar to Hishtadalnu. Sarnu lirot. We have neglected to see. We've looked the other way. What does that mean?
We didn't look at.
You're talking to mothers, they all know.
We tried not to pay attention to something that's so bad.
We ignored the things that someone did that was bad. We're just focusing on that which was good. I have to say, just a good story happened to me today. Last Monday, I was so excited preparing for this class, I forgot to take out the garbage. Not from the house, from outside to the street. Yeah. Now the problem was that we had just gone through a huge Shabbat and a party, and it was full to the top. Then we have a 3-day Rosh Hashanah. We had garbage bags coming out of everywhere. 2 nights ago, our bags got ripped apart by a dog or a raccoon who was eating it, scattered all over the lawn. So last night we put on gloves and collected everything. My wife packed everything back in the garbage. I took it out to the street, and there were a bunch of garbage bags on the side. And they don't take, there's nobody in the back who it's not in New York. So my wife thought there's someone who comes off the truck and throws it.
I thought there was a garbage bag.
Not in San Diego, right? They have this arm that comes in and throws it in.
I had to see that.
So when he came by right as the shear started. And I ran out to him, and he pointed at my bags and said, I'm not taking them. So I said, can I fill them up again? Once you empty the thing, can I fill it in again? And he looked at his clock, he's like, okay. So he threw it in his garbage, and then he put it back down. I put all my garbage bags in, and he put it into the garbage truck.
Nice.
I thought, he didn't have to do that.
No.
He could have said, wait for next week, or I don't know, go to the local dumpster. That was a nice person.
Yeah.
That's a nice person. He had a chance to do something right or wrong, and he chose to do something right. I don't know anything about him, but I know that now I owe something to the garbage man. Right. And that everyone in the world, if you look hard enough to find something that they did for you, or that you'll find something. Something. It could be something minute, but something they did for you. Yeah?
If it happens again that you have that problem, because I live in a complex, so I can just put it in the dumpster can there, I'll take it.
Thank you. When we lived in the other complex, so they take out the garbage every day.
Yeah.
Every day there's a truck that comes. They can't. It's one dumpster for the whole thing.
Right.
Here, so recycling, we're going to have to wait till next week, and that's already... We'll get there. B'ezrat Hashem. Maybe we'll just do one more for now.
So you get to be friends with the neighbors and say, do you have any extra space?
Right. So he did, but he didn't take out his garbage today, and he locks it behind his fence. I would take it out for him, but I see it from here, but I can't take it out.
Right.
So it says, Asinu asher tzivitanu. We did the things which you commanded me. We do some mitzvot. Make a list of mitzvot that we do. We do this, we do that. We learn Torah every Monday morning. We come to Shul on Shabbat. Whatever it is that we do, make a list. And I'm actually, this is my Yom Kippur message. Go to Yom Kippur. You have to have this serious conversation with Hashem about the times that we've messed up. That time where He sees us like the golden calf, cheating on Him. There are such times. It's not an easy conversation to have. Probably going to spend most of Kol Nidrei and the whole morning talking to Him about that part. Comes time for Ne'ilah, it's like the end, and off on a good note. Pull out this paper. Take out a list and say, Hashem, I made my own list also. Things that I did right. And say them to Hashem. Say them. I guarantee you it will be a different experience you've had before in Yom Kippur. Try it. Hashem will be so proud of us, you won't even understand. That's real. See, real is not just reading what it says inside of the Siddur and doing what it says in the book. Real means I have to be genuine also. I have to throw in my own words in there. Even sometimes in the middle of davening, it gets long, and that I guy gets boring. And you just have to, oh, come on, there's another page, and another page, and another song. Take your Siddur, close it, and just have a conversation with Hashem.
Isn't that basically speaking the truth?
Absolutely. That's why we're in this class.
Yeah.
It's part of being truthful.
That's right.
You have to say what's on your mind also. If you're going to be reading the book, it reminds me.
No business has just accounts payable. There has to be also accounts receivable.
And more than that, there are people who only pray from the Siddur. That's all they do. 3 times a day, take out a Siddur. So when do they ever talk to Hashem? They never do. They never do. That's like a person, I just had a good mashal. Okay, I forgot it. But just came up with something good.
Senior moments are coming soon.
That's exactly it. We have to say, Hashem, I'm being real, I'm being genuine. It's not just what it says in the book. It's not just what it is that I have to say. I'm going to also say things that I want to say, things that I feel that I need to share. Be real, be honest, be genuine with Hashem. He'll be genuine. Right back to us. Everybody should have a Gemar Chatima Tova Gadol.
Amen.